Delirium Comics presents The Middle Row. We attended Awesome Comic-Con with a huge turnout of crazy costumes and tons of fans. First up to bat is Washington, D.C. female sci-fi writer Cerece Rennie Murphy. I have to say she's my cousin also. With her book, Order of the Seers. Let's just check it out.
Hi.
You deserve to tell us about yourself and your book.
All right. Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm Cerece Rennie Murphy, the author of Order of the Seers, which is a sci-fi trilogy about a group of people who can see the future and they're enslaved for that ability. The book's all about how they escape the organization that's trying to exploit their gifts, how they reclaim their power and ultimately fight back. And that's sort of the story in a nutshell. There's lots of action, adventure, suspense, a little bit of romance. There are two books available now, Order of the Seers and Order of the Seers, The Red Order, which is more action and suspense and a little darker because you get to know your villains pretty well.
How long have you been writing?
Oh gosh, poetry since I was about maybe 11 or 12 years old. And then about 4 years ago, I got the idea for my first short story, which is a fan fiction piece. Go fan fiction! And I kept telling myself I couldn't write. I always thought I didn't have the attention span to write a novel. But I just decided I was going to stop telling myself that. And, Martha Stewart's not coming over to check and see if I finished my book. So I thought, you know what? If I've got an idea, I'm just going to go with it. We'll see what happens. If I don't finish it, so what? If I do, awesome. And I finished that short story in about 2.5 weeks, and it was pure joy. And after that, I thought, oh, that was so much fun. Too bad I'm not a writer. And then about 6 months later, I got the idea while washing the dishes in the kitchen for Order of the Seers, and I've never looked back.
So you really don't consider yourself a writer?
Well, now I do, because not only do I have the trilogy, but I've got about 5 other books that I've planned. So here is the lesson. When you start writing, you won't stop. Like, it's the bug that just won't let go, which is actually kind of awesome. But no, I thought, oh, well, after I finish Order of the Seers, I'll be finished and that'll be wonderful, but I'm not a writer. Halfway through that, suddenly I've got a 2-part space opera, I've got a 5-part children's book, I've got an action-adventure series. I can't stop. Anyway.
So you don't get the usual Stephen King writer's block, do you?
Someone asked me that yesterday if I believe in writer's block, and I do, because enough writers that I've met and respect have talked about it. For me, it's about fear and controlling the fear. There's so many reasons not to write your book and tell your story. You're not good enough, you don't know what you're doing, you don't have your master's in finance, you're too busy, you're too tired. There are a million different excuses that all boil down to fear. And when I'm writing, sure, sometimes I get that, oh my gosh, I think this sucks, I don't know if I can do this. And that can make you feel like you don't have anything to say. But that is not true. You are afraid to say what you have to say.
What was your motivation to write the novel?
Order of the Seers just came to me. I was washing the dishes, and suddenly I could see this man from Tanzania. He was walking towards me. He had cataract-like film over his eyes, ash blonde hair. I knew that he was a seer. I knew that he was enslaved for that ability. I knew that he was given a drug called Lyridium, and I had that word in my head. That was the reason why he had this freaked out appearance. I knew that there were seers all over the world who were being enslaved for that ability. This whole story came to me. So I didn't sort of sit down and think, oh, I'd like to write a sci-fi story. Remember, I didn't think I could. I didn't think I would be a writer, much less a science fiction writer. That's hollowed ground. Like I'm a Dune fan. The ABBA music, it doesn't even matter. I love science fiction. I watched my mom. Mommy, this woman right here took me to see Star Wars at the Uptown Theater when I was 8 years old, and I have never looked back. I've always loved science fiction. So, to me, again, that was hollowed ground. I never thought I would be able to write something like that. But when you get an idea that complete, you don't let it go. You don't let the fear win. I remember my husband came home, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have a sci-fi story. And he's like, what are you going to do? I didn't even know if I could write it, but I said, I'm going to try. And here I am.
Are any of your characters like anyone you know in life?
Oh, yes. There are a lot of characters that have pieces of my friends. Some of them I borrowed names, first name some, last names the other. But mostly, my characters are little pieces of me. Liam has my bravery. Alessandra has my fear. Gosh, so many Carries. Lily has my hope. Marcus is the person I want to be when I grow up. You know, there's so many different parts of myself. In the second book, there's a character named Ming who is very much like a very close friend of mine. She's ballsy, she has a terrible mouth on her, and is a wonderful, smart woman. And so there's all kinds of little pieces of my friends in me.
Okay. Are you self-published?
Yes, I am.
What is your advice for self-publishing?
Fight the fear, first of all. And, you know, some people ask me, should I self-publish? And I say it depends on what you want. For some writers, being traditionally published really means something very important to them. And if that's you, then go for that dream and don't let anybody tell you different. You know, for me, there are a couple things that make self-publishing really good for me. I don't like being told what to do and when to do it. I like being in control. So self-publishing is perfect if you want control. I like being able to tell my story again the way I want to tell it. That's not something you always get to do in traditional publishing, but it is a lot of work. I think now the way, you know, from what I understand of the publishing industry, all authors have to do their own marketing. So if you're thinking that you're going to get traditionally published and you won't have to do any of your marketing, unless something extraordinary happens, which could happen, but unless something extraordinary happens, you're probably going to be doing all, if not most, of your marketing yourself. And that's at least 70% of the job, believe it or not. Writing the book is the first part, and then all of it is figuring out how somebody besides you is going to read it. So I enjoy it. Be prepared for the work. But if you enjoy control, if you enjoy being able to sort of chart your own destiny, it's actually a wonderful experience that I've enjoyed a lot.
Is there a difference between nerd and geek in your mind?
No, it's all awesome. Everybody should have a t-shirt. Be a nerd, be a geek. Weird is awesome. Think about what's normal. Think about all the sad, bad things that are normal. Being kind is being weird. Being ridiculously generous is being crazy. And I think all of those things are awesome. Seeing the world in a different way that allows you to have empathy for people, you know, is awesome and weird and unusual. And I think we need more geeks, nerds, and crazy, unusual people in the world. And I'm proud to try to be one of them every day.
Good. Tell everybody where you can get your books and stuff.
Okay, the books are available in paperback and ebook format, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the usual suspects. You can go to my website, www.CereceRennieMurphy.com. You can read samples of the books, you can see the trailer, little blurbs and sort of behind-the-scenes stuff. Check it out. I hope you enjoy it.
Delirium.